Welcome to the Not So Quiet Time podcast. I'm Noel.
And I'm Kim. And we are going to explore Genesis 3 today.
Okay, awesome.
Right.
Well, first of all, we haven't talked.
No, we haven't.
At all. And I almost called you this morning because I cracked a tooth yesterday.
Oh, no.
And I think it's starting to get, I don't know if it's starting to get an infection or something. So I woke up and my jowl right here was a little puffy. And I was talking a little like blah, 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 blah. And I thought, oh man, I don't want to go do the podcast today. But then it started getting better a little bit. So,
oh, goodness.
Anyway, so between sliding down the driveway in the ice at 180 degrees and rain-soaked hair and a big old jowl.
We're ready.
I'm a hot mess.
Oh, my goodness.
So, but we haven't talked, which is different
Yeah.
from what we've previously done. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. I think it's going to be exciting to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to review maybe where we've been since we haven't talked for a little while, just in terms of Genesis 1 and 2.
Yeah, go
kind
for
of
it.
some of the things that we were discussing in the last couple. So we recognize like that speed change, right? The slowdown of chapter 2. So we have chapter 1, the slowdown in chapter 2 and 3, and then it picks back up in chapter 4. You know, we move from Cain all the way through 7 generations in chapter 4. So we've got this slowdown that we're in. The tone, the tone change from good to bad, and then as we get to chapter 4, worse. Right? And then the rhythm that we talked about, which I just love that, by the way, just that thought of the rhythm, the warble on the record, and the rhythm is gone until we get to those punishments at the end of chapter 3, and God speaking, and His mercy in those, which I'm sure we'll hopefully get to today. So that's where we were.
Yes.
So as we look at chapter 3, do we want to go through the flow of chapter 3?
Let's just. I'm curious to hear what you saw.
Chewing on.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, just that very first. Now the serpent throws you off.
Yeah.
Like it throws you for, like just those first 3 words.
Yeah.
The serpent. Well, who,
right?
What, where, how, what, like.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's crafty, you know. What I think the King James translation says. Oh shoot! I should have written it down. I can't remember what word it used, but almost like. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, I'll have to look it up later. More crafty than any other creation that God had made.
Yeah.
So it's like that right there is a mind like twist.
Right.
Like, okay, God made this thing.
Yeah.
It's, crafty and beautiful. Like there's other imagery there.
Yeah.
Very alluring.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, so just that very first sentence, not that we need to spend a ton of time on that, but it's just that first sentence takes you from, that.
And that, like, Adam joins in this, the rhythm, you know, at the very end there of 2, and this at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man, so we've got like.
Well, it's kind of this like poetic.
Yeah.
Adam. Yeah, he kind of joins in that poetic talk,
The rhythm, right? His voice is in the rhythm.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Now the serpent.
Wait.
Yeah.
What is a serpent?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like that instant.
Right.
We know what all these other things are. We've been hearing them, we've been listening, and then boom, now the serpent was more crafty than any of the,
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. And, on that note, I don't even have that in my notes, but just thinking about that Eve's not shocked.
No, not at all.
So clearly this is something she wasn't.
Common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
but
engage
to us,
in conversation.
Definitely for the
For
hearer.
Yep. Yeah. Catches.
It's an immediate.
Right.
Audio note.
Yep. Yeah, so I was thinking about this as, speaking of that, like on the flow of chapters 2 and 3. We've got in chapter 2, starting in chapter 2, verse 4, we have that these are the generations of, right? So that's 10 times in Genesis that we're going to get that audible, like, okay, now we're talking about this, that shift. So chapter 2 and 3 is our slow motion, and they hang together in a structure which I love. I love to look at and think about. So at the beginning of 2:4, we've got the creation of man and a description of the garden and the tree. And after that, we've got man's participation with God, revealing his need, and the creation of Eve. And then we have the serpent who hits the scene. At the center, we've got the sin and God's uncovering of it. And then we go backwards. We have the punishment of the serpent, punishment of Eve, punishment of Adam, exile from the land that was good. And so we've got this, all of our attention being drawn to this chapter, the first verses of chapter 3.
Right.
And the sin and God's uncovering of it. So just thinking about that, I thought that was just informative how that center section, our attention is there.
It is drawn there. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Right.
That's interesting.
So that's a little bit of what I was looking at in verses, or in chapter 2:4 all the way to the end of chapter 3. What else? Do you have anything that you were chewing on in those sections, or?
Yeah, I mean, let me see here.
I think Satan's tactics are interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it in terms of spiritual warfare. Like, what are his tactics, right? And I think we can learn a lot from just this little interaction. So he usurps God and man, goes to Eve. He attacks her mind. Did God really say? So now she's questioning, did I hear that right? Do I remember that right?
Yeah.
The mind, and then he attacks her heart. God just doesn't want good for you, right? So now, so it's like mind.
He wants to keep you. Heart. He wants to keep something from you.
Yeah.
He wants to keep you low.
Yeah.
He wants to keep you in a box. He doesn't want you to live in the fullness of what he has for you.
Yes.
He wants to keep you isolated and small, which is so... the thing that is so interesting about this is that there is a little bit of truth in what he said.
Yes, he starts with...
and you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. Well, your naivety is gone. You are going to see the evil that exists within yourself. There's a sliver of truth in that.
Yeah.
But it's twisted and perverted.
Yep.
It's evil made to look good. It's evil made to look enticing. And yet it is true.
Yep. Yeah.
And so it's really messed up.
Yeah.
The way that he went about that. So twisted.
Yeah.
So malicious. That's
how he works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he attacks her mind, he attacks her heart, then he magnifies the prohibition, right? Magnifies it, like, did he really say you can't eat from that tree? Now, ignoring all of the provision of the chapters, one, he magnifies the prohibition.
And she says the provision. She says, well, he said we can eat from all of the trees.
Yeah.
Except for the one in the middle. Like, she even brings that up.
Yeah.
Well, look, he has provided all of this for us. We just can't have that one. And it's that one.
Yeah.
That he just, oh, but you want the one.
You want the one you can't have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old story.
Yeah.
It is the original story.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. We've been following the same old story.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he reduces God's command to not eat of it. And she adds to it the don't even touch it.
Yeah, which I find that very fascinating. If you think about that, and we had talked about this in the Sunday school class, you shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it, or you'll die. We don't have record of that. And actually, later on in the chapter, I think it is confirmed, or it is reiterated that God said that you shall not eat of it, but he doesn't add you shall not touch it.
Right. Oh, that's with Adam. When he's, did you eat of the tree that I said you shall not eat of it?
Did you eat of the tree that I said? But he doesn't mention touching it. So we have this confirmation that he didn't say you shall not touch it.
Right.
Which means Eve is adding to the command of God.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of later on in Israel's future, all of the laws that were added to the law,
right,
to protect themselves, to cushion themselves from violating the law.
Right.
They added these extra laws.
Right.
And isn't that just like us? There is a self-preservation within us. Like, oh, I'm going to be in big trouble if I eat that, so I just can't even touch it. But that's not what God said. But that self-preservation of I can take care of my own sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so deep.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I don't do this. So I'm going to build up the protection around myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it just, there's no freedom in that. That is the law of legalism. Just legalism. I kind of. Anyway, that's such an interesting little tidbit of information that is very indicative about the heart of humanity. That we can do this.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch it. Then I'm sure to not eat of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, tangent.
It's good though. That reminds me, just like you said, of when you're looking at all the laws, the Mishnah, I think it was, that surrounded, right? So, rest on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a day for rest. You're not going to do any work. In fact, don't even pick the shovel up. Like, you don't want people to think that you're working.
Exactly.
And then it balloons out and it balloons out. And the hedge of our own protection of ourselves.
Right.
That we can handle our own sin.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? That in the very beginning in the garden, it was there.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, go ahead with what's the next thing?
So, what else does he do? Reduces God's command to a saying. Did he say? Well, he commanded, waters down the punishment. Right?
Right. You shall not. You will surely
You're not going to die. Which suggests either God's not going to follow through, or he was lying.
Right.
Those are the two, suggestions. Like, working on mind and heart.
Yeah.
Oh. So, then he offers knowledge of good and evil, and we talked about this last time. She already knew good, and she didn't know the depth of that good, but. So he offered evil, basically. And then he offers unhindered knowledge of evil and the ability to be like God and knowing everything apart from God. So.
It's interesting. I've been on this kick lately. I was watching that video I sent you, about worship, the garden lady.
Yeah.
Maybe I should link that somehow. It was such a good video.
That was good.
But it's here too, that Satan is after our worship. He's trying to, without like just trying to reiterate the whole video that I watched, but if Satan can make God seem that he's not worthy of our worship, then he has won our worship. That's going on here.
Yeah.
You know, God, he's not going to follow through on that. Yeah. You're not going to die. He's diminishing God.
Yeah.
Which robs God of the worship and glory that is due to him.
Yeah, that's good.
That's interesting because I've just been kind of stewing on that thought lately, just kind of, and I've been seeing that as in random places, and it's here. That if Satan can rob God of the glory and worship that's due to him, then he has won part of what he really wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we will worship.
We will.
You know.
Yeah. We were created to worship.
Right.
But yeah, that's just interesting that it's here in the beginning. This very first thing is to rob God of glory, to rob him of his greatness.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So, anything else on that, or?
Yeah, tell me what else you're...
Eve's response, we talked about, she adds to the prohibition. The rationalization of sin. That's good for food.
Yeah. And it looks good.
Looks good. Oh, and the deception of vision.
Of the eyes.
Of the eyes. Like, we can't see deeply. You know, we only can see on the surface.
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks good. It's good for food.
Nutritious.
Yeah, right.
Might as well.
Yep. Yeah. And I should want that. You know, that's something that I should want. And that knowledge of to be like God.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. That's a good thing.
That's a good, of course I want to be, you know, so like the whole rationalization process.
Oh, man.
And then I was thinking about this. This was an interesting thought. There's like a moment of time where Adam hadn't eaten yet. I just find that interesting that the first humans, there was a moment where a human could have said, no. Or could have stood in the gap between her and God now. You know what
That's an interesting thought.
He, like, for one, it's a comma, I think, of time. He could have, but it didn't happen.
And I wonder what was going through his mind.
Yeah.
As she is sitting here having, I mean, we don't know.
No.
It's all
conjecture. Yeah.
But I just wonder, like, he's standing there with her. She grabs it, she bites. I just wonder if he felt anything, like, oh.
Right.
This is all changed. Or if he was completely oblivious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was just, I'll do it.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So that's their response. And then their eyes are opened, their nakedness is exposed, and then the pathetic attempt to hide their sin with leaves and hiding in the trees from a God who knows all, sees all.
And I love, well, I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I love God's first interaction with them. Where are you?
The invitation.
Yeah. Where are you? I don't have the sense that it was this like, where are you?
Right.
It's this longing. It seems to be, knowing kind of the story as it progresses.
Right.
It's this, there's a gap between us.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Where did you go? Yeah.
Where are you?
Right.
Which is the exact same way he responds to Cain after, where's your brother?
Right. Where'd he go?
It's that same, that same question.
Yeah.
Where are you? And yeah, we'll see that.
Yep, that heart
play out.
Yep. Even at the end, I think, as he banishes, drives them from the garden. Good. That's good. Okay. So then comes the blame shifting, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it was the woman that you gave me.
Yeah.
You know, it's her fault. Wait.
Oh, yeah.
It's your fault.
Yeah. It's your fault.
Yeah.
You know, back really quick, just backing up.
Yep.
The where are you? Mm-hmm. It immediately took my mind to Revelation and the book of life. Mm-hmm. That it's where are you? Mm-hmm. It's that same, you're not here. You're not with me. And it reminded me of Jesus' I never knew you.
Yeah.
It's like in this, God is walking through the garden and he's like, where are you? I don't know you anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. You know, it's that same kind of, there's this there's a miscommunication. We aren't on the same page anymore.
Right.
Where are you? We used to be together and now we're apart. And it just reminded me of that. I never knew you. And then the book of life, where are you? I don't know you.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just had that same
that's so
feel.
Good. Yeah, that is. Oh my goodness. And just thinking about, like you said, just our study from the last year, that heart of God. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important what you said about the bookends of Genesis and Revelation. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll get there. I've got that somewhere. I think it's later in the notes, but man, that's really good. That's good to think about. Just that separation.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the very first picture of that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, I think we can read this in multiple different ways. Mm-hmm. We can hear the condemning, where are you? You know, your dad comes home and you're hiding in your room because you did something wrong. Right. Where are you? Mm-hmm. Get out here. You know.
Right.
It's that more condemning. We can read it in that tone, but we also have this idea that, you know, it was this softer, like, kind of a desperation. Where are you?
Yeah.
You know,
a broken heart.
A broken heart. Exactly. Yeah. Just, this isn't the way it's meant to be.
Yeah. So good.
Anyway.
That's some great thoughts, Noel.
Well.
Anything else in that section?
I don't think so. I think.
Okay. So then we come to the punishments of the latter half of chapter 3.
Do you want to do the latter half? You want to do a part 2?
Sure. What time? I don't even...
We're about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. Let's do... Okay, we're leaving off... Where are we leaving off at here? You know, we're leaving off at this blamer idea.
Right. The blame shift.
The blame shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a...
I think that's a great place.
Good. Yeah. Good. Okay, let's pick up part 2 on our next episode.
Okay.
And we'll continue from there.
Sounds good.
All right.